My guest has been featured on HBO Women's and Comedy Festival, Bumbershoot, and the Seattle International Comedy Competition. I'm excited to welcome Mary Lou Gamba.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Did I say your name right?
Yeah,
Is it
totally.
Gamba or Gamba?
You say Gamba, right?
Gamba.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always remember that from the Super Mario Brothers.
The I never
Gamba
played that
guy.
game.
You didn't?
There was a Gamba character?
Yeah.
Shut
You've
up.
never seen it?
Oh,
Yeah,
what's
the
it
little like
called?
muncher. I don't know. It was you didn't. Nobody's ever told you that. Yeah, I think I can. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
His name was Gamba.
I think so.
Gamba the Muncher. I do eat a lot. That kind of
It's
makes
spelled
sense.
different. Yeah, or Goomba.
Oh,
is- yeah, it's a little mushroom.
that's different. It's very cute. Though.
Yeah.
Goomba was a nickname people used to call us.
Really?
Well, it's like an Italian American thing, like Goomba.
Really? Are you originally from Seattle?
No, I was born in New Jersey.
Okay.
My family was all born in New York City, Brooklyn, Manhattan. Then they moved to Jersey. Then they had me. I was not planned. My dad called me a forgotten trip to the drugstore. That's what my dad used to tell me all the time. I know. Wasn't he sweet? That's why I'm a comedian. I mean, I was fucking 4 years old and he was talking this way to me. So. It was cool. And then we moved to Florida when I was 4. So I grew up in Fort Lauderdale.
You lived in Jersey and then Florida?
Yeah, I lived in the most made fun of states.
Yeah. That's brutal.
I know. And then I moved here in '94. I've been here a long time. Seattle,
Okay.
so,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I went to college in North Florida. Yeah. But I knew when I was like little, when I was 10, I was like, I'm not living in Florida my whole life. I already knew. I swear. I was like, I'm moving to Chicago or Boston or New York.
Wait, you were in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale.
Is
that area.
Like the Jimmy Buffett area? And I can never keep track of
He's
Florida.
more like Miami, more south.
Okay.
He's more, but yeah, I mean, he was popular in that area. But I wasn't into his
Isn't
music.
he more
so.
the like, what, isn't there what the fuck is that? There's a whole, the Keys. That's right.
Oh yeah, down in the Keys, probably. Yeah. I don't know that much about him, but I know he's from Florida. I thought he was more a Miami guy, but the
such
Keys
a
are cool.
strange like cult following with that, just like alcohol, like full on the celebration of alcoholism.
Yeah, I think they used to play him a lot. Like I used to go to a lot of festivals down in South Florida. We went to all kinds of festivals. Like I remember we went to a chicken wing festival once. And they would play his music a lot, but this was this is like all different chicken wing. And there was a guest appearance coming, like a guest star coming, and then it was Vanilla Ice.
Really?
And he came out and he lip synced to Ice Ice Baby. It was so funny.
That's
this
fucking
is
great.
like the late 80s. Yeah, it was
Did he
hilarious.
roll up like in the 5.0 and like just
He just walked out on the stage.
okay.
I don't even know. Is that a car? I don't even
yeah,
know what
that was
is.
his like.
I just was like, whoa! And he just did his one thing and danced around in the black and white kind of outfit, and then he left.
He made his entire career.
Just on that song, right?
His whole life. It's crazy. God damn.
Anyway.
Well, before we
I
jump
grew up
in,
Fort Lauderdale.
nice. Before we jump into stuff, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notifications bell. If you get a question for Mary Lou or myself, throw it in the comment section. And then we are on Patreon, patreon.com/FNFpod. Support us there if you can. So you showed up in Seattle in 94. That had to have been, how old were you?
28.
Oh, wow.
I'm old.
But like that was key grunge era.
Yeah,
like,
that's what made me want to move here.
Really?
What made me want to move here is, I don't know, I lived in Tallahassee for college, and then my boyfriend had a friend whose girlfriend grew up in Seattle and would talk about Seattle a lot. And I loved the grunge music, and I also, this is cheesy, embarrassing. There was a movie that came out called Singles, a Cameron Crowe movie many years ago.
I think I've heard about this. Yeah.
And it was just all about Seattle, and Pearl Jam had like a little piece in it, and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and I was like, I'm moving to Seattle, man. It's so cool. So after I graduated, I flew out here for like a week, and I stayed in a hotel, and I fucking loved it. And then 6 months later, I just packed up my truck.
Where'd you stay?
Drove here. I was downtown. Some like hotel doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah. What was it like though in 94 in Seattle?
I mean, it was cool. You know, I just stayed downtown. I was more in the touristy stuff. I didn't know anybody. I did go up to Capitol Hill, but I liked Seattle then. The reason I moved is because it felt more like kind of granola hippie almost, you know.
It's a bit of a change from
Oh,
Jersey
it's way
and Florida.
different. Yeah, well, Jersey, yeah, we left when I was 4, but I don't know. It had this cool feel for me. Like it just felt. I'm not even a hippie, but it just had that granola sort of crunchy. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like natural, earthy feel.
For sure.
Yeah,
What time of year did you visit?
I visited in May, so it was really nice.
Okay, yeah.
I know. The weather was nice. And what's really funny about that is I didn't do any research. I go by my gut for stuff. So I was like, I like it here. I'm going to move here. And then when I got here, it was the day after Thanksgiving and it was freezing. And I remember saying that at the time I picked up my boyfriend in California and he came up with me. And I was like, I don't know if I could live here. It's too cold.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so cold. And I was wearing like shorts.
It's a different type of cold, too. It's like in your bones type cold.
It's brutal. And so within my first month, it snowed like a light snow. And then we had like an earthquake. And I didn't know either of those things were going to happen. And I was like, fuck, I should have like read about this place. But I stayed, I like it. I stayed. I just had to dress. I didn't dress very well at first. I brought all my clothes from Florida. So I had a lot of cotton. Everything was cotton and sweatshirts. And I had a job as a secretary at the time. They called it secretary.
Yeah.
So I had these nice long skirts, but then I would wear a sweatshirt and this tiny little scarf I got at Nordstrom that wasn't even very long. And I just wear those for my warmth.
Yeah.
And I got on this bus one day and this bus driver, he was actually a really gorgeous bus driver. He was like, you're not from here, are you? And I'm like, no. We ended up dating, actually.
Really?
That's weird. A bus driver, yeah.
Huh.
This dude looked like a fucking model. It was like, wow, what are you doing driving a
What
bus?
was he doing driving the bus?
He was a student, and so
Okay.
he was just making money. Not that they're all like, but none of them look like models. This guy was like pretty hot.
Usually somebody just yelling at you, too.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't dress right. It was a tough transition. And this is true. This is so silly. Because in Florida, when the sun's out, that means it's supposed to be hot out. And I had to learn that when the sun was out, it didn't mean it was going to be hot. And that really was hard for me.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, it was just like, I'd go outside in shorts and a t-shirt every day and flip-flops. And I'm like, fuck, it's 40. But the sun's out. It's supposed to be hot.
Yeah.
It took me so long to adjust. It was pretty pathetic,
It's
actually.
weird out here. I remember the first summer I came out here, it was like I showed up in August.
It's
and
hot. It's
like,
hottish.
Yeah, and it was like no AC anywhere. So it was like
there's no AC anywhere.
There's like a month in Seattle where you're like, you wish you had AC
Exactly.
if you don't have it. And
I agree.
I was like, what is it? This place is really hot and all this stuff. And then like a month and a half later, everything just like I remember when it turned to where it gets dark.
Right.
That first fall in Seattle ruined me
I'm
because
sorry.
I was in law school at the time and I was like just reading books all day. I was like waking up.
Yeah.
It was pitch dark out.
Right.
Go into a building, come out. It's already pitch dark, and like you have no sense of time. And like the summer out here, I don't know. It took like 5 years to fully adapt to like what the sequencing feels like.
It took a while. I remember my first year here. I remember in June it kept raining, and I was like, if it doesn't stop, I'm gonna move. Yeah. I mean, I just really was like, when the fuck is the summer gonna happen? And then it just suddenly happened. But but I like it here. I mean, because people are like, Florida, the weather's great. I'm like, yeah, but that's fucking it.
Yeah.
I mean, the politics there. I don't like Florida.
Yeah.
I love my family. I wish they weren't there, honestly. I try to get them to visit me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go to Florida anymore if I don't have to.
I haven't been to Florida in a while.
Me
I was
neither,
mainly
no.
a kid just going like for Disney World and stuff.
Yeah,
I had no idea how crazy Florida was as a kid. Like, I went to the Everglades and shit, and that was a lot of fun. But now as an adult, I'm like, those were crazy people. Like, it's like there's so much. Florida's like a whole country, just the state itself.
It's
like,
bizarre, yeah.
It's very weird.
And it's flipped too, because we lived in South Florida, which is a lot of New Yorkers down there, a lot of Jewish people, Italian Americans, New Yorkers, people they didn't want cold weather anymore. That's why they moved there. But then when I went to college in Tallahassee, it was very southern.
Yeah.
So
is that University of Florida?
No, that's Gainesville. I was into Florida State University.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, everybody had like southern
Are they still
accents.
doing the?
I don't know. I don't know. But I did it. But I was young.
When you see a stadium full of white people all
it's kind of
doing
weird.
the Indian
weird,
chop,
yeah.
it's like that's.
I don't know if they still do it. I have no idea.
I have to imagine if it's Florida, they're definitely still doing it.
I stopped following all the. I was into sports when I went to school, but I stopped following it all. But But yeah, it was real deep south there, and people were very slow. And I was like, what the? But it helped me.
Italian from New Jersey is kind of the opposite.
And it helped me calm down a little, because then when I went home from my first Thanksgiving break, I remember feeling more relaxing, like, ooh, everybody's really uptight here. So it was this weird like transition. But
yeah. So when you got up here, you were working, and then what year did you start doing stand-up?
Oh, I didn't start stand-up for a long time. When I first moved here, don't laugh at me. I was really into juggling, so like you're laughing at me. I got a juggler. There's my first tattoo. That's a juggler, right?
Where do you do that?
Well, I don't need more, but can you tell what these are? You probably can't tell.
If you hadn't said,
it's an old tattoo. So.
Yeah. If you hadn't said that it had something to do with juggling, I
doesn't
wouldn't
even.
Have, no.
It looks like a goddessy figure, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'll just tell you, this is garlic, because I love garlic, but it looks like an onion.
Yeah.
People would always guess onion. This is actually a torch, but it's a terrible. I used to juggle torches.
Really?
Yeah. And then this is just a daisy, but it's old too. It's all squishing together.
What was the most you could like juggle at the same time?
5. At one time I could do 5. I could keep 5 beanbags in the air. That was pretty cool. And then I got, I used to do it so much. I was so obsessed. It was good because when I just learned to juggle as I was leaving Tallahassee. And so then when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. So then I found the juggling club, and that was, you're laughing. I love how you're laughing at this.
I just know the feeling too of like moving out here. There's people are so cold in this city that like, you're like, oh, I guess I'm going to meet friends that juggle.
Right. I just met the club, and then we all just became friends and just juggled all the time. It was really fun, actually.
Where did you guys do it though?
Mostly every Saturday was the Seattle Center at the time, like by the fountain. Mm-hmm. And then we have other places we'd go, but that was for the longest time. It was there. And then I used to go to like juggling conventions all the time. And you're like, I love how you're laughing at everything. So much
I wasn't
respect,
expecting
I feel.
it. I just wasn't expecting it. I've never had somebody come on and be like, yeah, I used to be really into juggling.
And I also used to work for a circus for about 13 years. So
really?
Since you're going to make fun of
what? Just juggling, or were you doing other stuff?
No, I worked for them. So I volunteered / worked for them. I was like I did like stagehand. I volunteer coordinated. I was like stage manager, house manager, all that stuff. But I met them all through the juggling scene. It was a really cool alternative circus. They didn't have real animals. They dressed like animals, and they were all quite talented. And there was a great band. They actually have quite a following. There's my other tattoo. That's their logo. That's them. Circus Contraption.
How have we never talked about this at all?
Everybody tells me that, and they're all like, "Why are you talking about this on stage?" I'm like, I don't know how to make a joke about juggling on stage. I just don't know. But it was a big part of my life for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then I had to stop because I had tendinitis really bad. Like my day job was like typing and mousing and all that shit. And the tendinitis got so bad that I kind of had to stop, which was really a bummer. Did you have to get the
surgery?
No, I didn't have carpal tunnel, but I couldn't do both. I couldn't type all day and then juggle as much as I wanted.
Yeah.
And juggling didn't pay anything. So I faded out of it. But comedy I started because a friend of mine many years ago, I was doing volunteer work for like this theater troupe. And I met this gal. She was really funny. And she said, I took a stand-up comedy class. It was like a week-long class. And she said, the final night we have to perform, and I need to bring like 10 people. And she's like, I have no one. And I'm like, all right. I said, I'll round up some people for you. And this was in the original Comedy Underground, too.
Oh, really?
The original, not the one that like you used to go to.
Yeah.
It was before. It was a couple blocks away, down in the basement. And so I went and watched her perform. And then I just sort of, I was in the front row, and the teacher was also the MC, and he just kept like talking to me.
Who was teaching?
His name was Stu Stewart. So he started all the classes way before like Peter Gray, and now like Taylor's doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, he just sort of was teasing me and joking around, and after the show, we kind of exchanged numbers, like, oh, let's have a drink next time you're in town. And then he was so funny, and I thought maybe I should take the class. That seems like something fun to do. He's like, yeah, try it. Yeah. So I took the class a few times, and I would do like one open mic a year because it takes a lot of nerve, and then I just would like stop.
What year was it?
I can't remember because I took the class. I didn't officially start 8 until like 9 years ago, but it was I was like probably 40, so I'm 56 now. 16 years ago, roughly.
Okay.
And they were fine. They were
Math is
just
hard
doing
to
their
do.
own. I just felt
it
really
2007?
I know. Probably that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
about right. Yeah. It's not they weren't nice. I just felt like this feels awkward to be all alone.
Well,
you know?
Roger Lazola came on. I think he was doing it around the same time. He had been doing it for a while at
I
that
remember
point.
seeing him on the stage at
Really?
the mic, but not knowing him. And I remember the first time I saw Roger, I love Roger. Like, I'm friends with him. I love him so much. But I think somebody heckled or he went off on someone. And I was like, whoa.
Well, he was like hosting a lot too.
Probably.
There. Yeah.
I mean, I just did it once a year. The thing that got me really into it is my friend Matt Baker. He used to run a room called in the Tin Theater in where is it? The airport, Burien, that city. And he had Scott Lossy there once, and I never met Scott, and so I was there hanging out. And I told him that I tried comedy a few times, and he's like, "Well, there's this open mic called the Comedy Womb. It used to be called the Womb before the Nest, and it it's like female focused, and so why don't you try that?" And I was like, "All right." So I tried that, and it went well. And the woman that ran it was Danielle Gregoire. All I needed was encouragement. So she just was like really sweet. And she's like, "You're going to come back next week?" I'm like, "Okay." Every week she kept saying that. It just made me like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would spend a whole week sitting in like a coffee shop trying to write my set, getting the nerve up.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. And then I would do it. And then eventually people were like, you should do some more mics. So then I started to do Jai Tai. And then I started to do like a Scratch Deli. And then people were like, "How many are you doing a week?" I'm like, 3. And they're like, "You got to do more." So then I just started doing more. And then I became a producer at Jai Tai. And then TCC had like auditions for like MCs a long time ago. And they auditioned like
Tacoma Comedy Club for anybody that doesn't know. Sorry.
They auditioned like 20 people and they picked 3 of us. I was one of the 3, which was really cool. And so that's kind of my trajectory up into getting gigs and et cetera.
Yeah, you're one of the few people I know that work Seattle and Tacoma quite a bit. Like
yeah.
There's a lot of people that they're only like in Seattle.
Oh, I just do everywhere. I'll just do everywhere. Yeah. If I can, everywhere I can get booked, you know.
Sure.
I don't get booked much at the other Tacoma club, but I like it. I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
I worked at Nate's club a couple times. I love it.
I started going down there during the pandemic. Like it was just like
I was too afraid.
it was like on the back end of it where
Right,
they had
right.
started opening up in that county, and I was going crazy. I mean, I lived up here by myself.
I remember you were going there a lot. Yeah.
It was just I was going down there to put my name in the bucket,
right.
without even knowing if I'm getting up on like every Tuesday,
I know,
Wednesday.
that's a long drive, man.
Yeah, it was 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then, luckily that's actually how I met like the bookers and like doing that is just showing face.
Well, that's what you have to do. Like, I would go to TCC all the time. And then when they had the auditions, they knew about me. So they're like, "We want you to audition with like," and they picked all these other comics that they were there regularly. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So much of that is, Josh came on recently and he was just talking about like people send emails all the time in comedy and they're like, "Oh, I don't hear back. I don't get it." And it's like, it's not a job. Like it's something that you actually have to be out and be like amongst those people for them to think of. Like nobody's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you.
Totally.
Especially with comedians, it's out of control.
Yeah.
But
when you're new, and this is what I did too when I was new, it was good. A lot of comics had shows, so I would go support their shows a lot, and then that helped because they'd be like, "You want to be in my show?" I'm like, "Yeah, totally, I'd love to." And so that's always good to do too. Yeah.
I've never been good with that, and it's definitely an area for opportunity.
Well, I didn't have much of a life. I mean, my friends, I was getting so obsessed with this that like the few friends I had, I was like, all right. So then it was like, well,
this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who were kind of the like people in the scene? Like, was there anybody that when you started ended up being really successful or like?
Yeah. When I started, first I would just start at that one. I met Erin Engel, and I remember first time I met her, I was like, she was just emceeing the Womb, and I was like, holy shit, she's fucking hilarious. I was like, who is this person? And Erin was just like, sort of, I don't know how new she was, if she was there a little longer than me, but I remember meeting her. Scott Lossy was big then.
Yeah, he was the first headliner I ever worked with.
Was he? Oh yeah, he's great.
Or maybe second one, but he was it was the Lime in Kirkland.
Oh, I did the Lime. I did it a couple times.
And
I won a contest there once.
Like, I don't think I've seen as many people have just like those, like, just like you're working type sets where like he was on stage wearing shorts and like he was clearly there for the money and the food.
Right.
Like, and I was there because I was like, this is my first gig. Like this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And just to be on completely different ends of the spectrum, like it, because he had done Sick, all that stuff at that point, but.
Yeah, he's pretty established. I call him my mentor because when I met him, I would IM him all the time, and he was really sweet, and he would help me with questions and stuff. So
he's always been really sweet.
Yeah,
like,
I love Scott.
For somebody that had done as much as he did to like actually listen to me and like, because there's so many people that after a few years, they're like, I'm not talking to new people. Like they're... I'm not going to get anything out of it. And it's a crazy mentality.
No one talked to me for 6 months, and I'm a friendly person.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. So you feel pretty alone for the first 6 months. And then when they see that you're serious, then they start to interrupt.
I never understood that.
Yeah.
It always seemed like just shitty behavior. Because also the whole, like, I'm not talking to somebody unless I see them kill on stage. Like, I never had that mindset. Oh, there's a lot of people that are that way.
I didn't talk to you because I didn't think you liked me. Because you're so serious.
My face is that way.
That's what I mean. So I'm like, he doesn't like me. I'm not going to talk to him.
I think I just run like really hot and cold too.
Okay. That's why I didn't talk to you.
Yeah.
Just want you to know.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
You're an absolute sweetheart. So.
Yeah, but you're not the first person to say that.
The same thing, right? I was like, oh, he's scary. I don't like
part of it, I was just terrified.
Yeah.
I was so scared all the time.
Well, that's the problem. Fear makes people look, it doesn't look like fear. It looks like,
intensity.
Yeah, right. So, so that's probably why.
Also, like most of the time when I was around people like that, I was emceeing, which doesn't play to my strengths as a comic. like emceeing. Who was I talking to about this? Like the fact that MCs don't get paid more, like they're in Canada.
Hard,
in Canada, they do it right. Like the MCs,
really?
Most of the time, the best comic on stage. Like they do it inverted, where it's like the MC does like 15.
Yeah.
Then they do 15 to 20. The feature comes up and does 15. Then they come back out and do 20 more and bring up the headliner. So they're like a focal point of the show.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it's so hard to start a show. Like it.
Totally.
I mean, how long till into stand up until you were comfortable starting shows?
It took a while. The good thing is when I started producing at Jai Tai, I became a producer. That's where I got all the emceeing experience because that's what the producer did many years ago. They just but it took a long time. Yeah. Probably I still now if I have to MC, I'm fine, but I'm like, oh right, because I'm like people are like what set am I gonna do? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'll just see what the person before me does. And I'm like, I am the person before me.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And
I don't know.
it's a cold start.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I gonna...
That was a hard room to MC, too.
Yeah, like, it was.
Paul Curry, I saw him MC a handful of times. He's been on here before, but he MC'd that room better than anybody ever saw.
I love that kid
It was incredible. I mean, and it was relatively new, too. It was impressive, but...
Right.
Love that dude. All right.
But, yeah, it takes a while to get comfortable emceeing, but that's how you get started, right?
I do have some questions because you just recorded your hour, like your
my 45,
your 40, whatever you want to call it.
It was in September.
Yeah,
it's a long time ago.
That's right.
I sat on it too long because I sat on it a very long time and I kept listening to it because I did 4 recordings.
Okay,
but the 2 early shows were the best, of course. The late shows weren't very full, but I didn't like either one enough, so then I sort of cut it up. I was like, all right, I like this chunk, this chunk, this chunk, this chunk.
Are you producing it yourself, like editing?
No, Rick from Club Comedy.
Oh, he's doing it?
Yeah, because I recorded it there.
Gotcha.
So then I sent him the cut up version. So now it's in his hands, and when he's ready, we'll get it together.
Awesome.
But I took too long. It's not on him at all. It's on me. I was just like, I don't like this. And then one day I thought this sounded great, and then the next day I'd listen. I'm like, this sucks. And now I don't want to put it out. But I'm like, just put it out, you dumbass.
Is it just the audio?
Yeah, but I had a friend videotape me one of the nights too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I was with Luke working at a theater that night, and he had to run over. And
he did a guest spot. He's one of my guest spots. Yeah.
And Josh, I think, was working with you too.
He did a guest spot too. Yeah.
But like, what was that like recording your 45?
I know. I wish it was fun. It was good. It was nice because I invited a ton of people, and both nights sold out, so that was really cool. It was fun. It was just I had a lot of support in the audience, people I knew and people I didn't know. I didn't feel super nervous or anything. I I was just more worried that I was gonna like slur words and do shit like that, and I did.
Yeah.
You know, of course I did. But yeah, it was okay. It was just like a headlining weekend. I didn't think of it as anything too huge. I tried not to.
Is he putting it out for you though?
No, I guess he's gonna. We have to still sit together and do the actual chunks, you know, like the what do they call the tracks? And then he'll give it to me all done, and then I'm gonna call everybody I know and go, what do I do now?
Yeah,
I have no fucking idea what to do next.
I didn't know he did that though. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if he does it for everyone, but that's what he is. He's a sound engineer. He knows how to do that. He's really good at that. So,
for sure.
Yeah, and I work at that club all the time, and so I said I'd like to record an album, and I asked, and he was like, absolutely. So
the Tuesdays have been killer at Club Comedy.
Are they fun?
They're
the Chuckle Bucket?
Yeah.
Shut up.
They're really fun.
Oh, good, because I go to the Wednesdays, but I should go to the Tuesdays.
He's been.
You get up for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think you'd have any issue getting up.
Yeah, but you still gotta put your name in the bucket. But
for sure,
I do get up on the Wednesdays if I sign up.
It's in the summertime. It's always a little trickier getting people coming out to shows, but it's been pretty consistent.
No,
and
his mic gets full.
It was also like there was one night. It was one of the most fun nights. It was like me, Paul Curry, Jay Markovitz, Quinn Fitzgerald, like just. All of my friends were all there, and we went back to back to back. It was like, this is. I never get to do a show with like just all my friends.
Yeah, totally.
And seeing everybody, Jack Slattery was there. It was just like it was killer. A lot of dudes, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe I should do the Tuesday because I'm not getting booked very much lately. It's a little thin this summer, and so part of me is like, well, then go back and do open mics, you lazy ass.
Yeah.
I mean, go write some more shit. You know,
they're fun right now too. Like there's a bunch of new people in Seattle, and it's just been. Like stuff is just kind of growing and there's more mics, there's more rooms, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. Cool. I should go. That's good. Good.
So you don't know what you're going to do with that hour though? Or the
I'm sure I'm going to try to get it on
iTunes.
Yeah. That. I mean, I know, I just don't know exactly what to do. So I'm not going to just hold on to it. I'll for sure try to get it out there and promote it as much as I can.
Yeah, you should.
And then
when you do release it, let me know and we can promote it on this.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'll in the video, I guess someone told me he's got the Saturday night show, which I liked. Someone was like, just put it on YouTube as a special. I'm like, but he's like, just do it. It's not going to hurt. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll just do that too. Yeah. Just get it out there.
Just try and get somebody. I mean, I know Third Wheel Podcast Studios, they do a lot of like intro, outro video stuff.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. And then there's a handful of people locally that can help with just like setting up so it looks as good as it possibly can.
Right. Well, my friend that videoed it is a filmmaker.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So Rick said he would give him like the actual good video. So he'll, this guy makes films and stuff, so I'm sure he'll make it look good.
Hell yeah. Shout out Rick.
Not Rick doesn't make films, but Rick is a great sound guy. Yeah. And then my friend makes films and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
So wait, before we jump to, I do want to ask you about some of your material.
Oh, that's fine.
But
go for it.
Are you starting from scratch again?
Well, I mean, not scratch because I've been doing it so long. I've got a ton of old material. But yeah, I am. I got maybe 9 new minutes since freaking September.
Yeah.
That's nothing. I mean, I'm not someone that sits and writes. I'm not disciplined at all. It all pops in my head and I take a note and then I work it on stage. And I'm also I'm kind of lazy. It's not good, right? Like if someone was like, okay, we will record an album for you and you need to be done 2 months, then I would kick it in gear. That's when I kick it in gear.
Yeah.
Like I won't do shit and then I'll be in the competition and then I'm like,
something.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what would you ask?
Well, I always think about like,
much,
you're not like, I'm not doing that material anymore.
I'm still doing it right now. I mean, I'm not famous either, right? So like I'm still doing it, but I'm also trying to tell it a little differently and mix new jokes into it and phase out old jokes. But yeah, I mean, like tonight I'm doing 30. I don't have 30, so I've got to do them.
Yeah.
But no one's gonna be. I'm not like like the famous people that are like, that's it. I burnt the material. But if that album comes out, I mean, when it comes out, I still will have to fade out the stuff slowly. I'm just not an efficient writer like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That just has to be such a weird feeling to build 45. And then put it away and start completely fresh.
I'm not like doing it exactly like that at all, but because you keep getting booked, so it's like I don't have 45 new minutes already.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, but I don't.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
And I've got
to just
new
do
stuff, but it's-
45
I know.
brand new.
Oh God, no. I don't have much yet, but I'm working on it.
There's certain people though that Kinane, like he works a lot of like regional stuff, Kyle Kinane, and he is building his hour at those gigs and then he tours it, which
well, that's what the famous people do. Like they do like clubs, right? Which we think to us is a big deal, and to them it's like a big long open mic.
Yeah,
probably right.
That's so crazy.
That's how it looks to me. Like I don't know.
I just can't. I don't know, because when nobody knows who you are, there's so much pressure to just go up and kill for like every minute that you're up there, and then
I don't do that. I try, but
yeah, but to go up there and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of do what I want, and whether they like it or not. I mean, it's
yeah. When you get at that level,
Oh,
yeah. I thought you meant me. I'm like, oh hell no. But yeah, at that level. But they're all just funny anyway.
Sure.
And the longer you do it, I mean, the more
natural, I guess.
Yeah, I think
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you've worked with a ton of really good headliners.
Yeah, it's been great.
Who's been your favorite so far
To work with?
Yeah.
Oh, I have two favorites. Well, my very favorite weekend was I got to feature an MC. It was both for Damon Wayans Sr. Because when I was younger, I would watch him in Living Color, and I think he's one of the funniest people ever. That whole family is really funny.
Yeah.
And so a couple years ago, I got to feature the first two nights, and it was me and Adam Lucky. We switched, and then I emceed. But I hadn't met him yet either. I was on stage and I had a really good. I love Spokane Comedy Club.
Oh yeah.
I love it there.
It's so much fun.
It's great, right? So I did a great set, and he didn't get there. He wasn't there yet. So, but he got there when I was up there, and he was watching my set, I guess. And so when I came off the stage and he was walking up when they invited him up, he's like, "You're very funny," and he shook my hand, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And it just made me so happy. And the whole weekend, it was just great. He was really sweet. He took us out to lunch. We were out to lunch. I mean, I was like,
crazy,
"I'm out to lunch with David fucking Wayans," right? And he shared his dessert with us. I was like, I might have his DNA in this bite of cake, and then and he was giving us feedback, and at the end of the weekend he's like, I don't have much feedback for you. I love you. You're very funny. You're likable. You get the women on board. They'll bring their men on board. I don't know. That's what he told me, and so that was just great. I mean, hearing nice things about you is always great, but
for sure. But when it's somebody like that,
yeah,
too.
And he's so fucking funny, and when he gets on stage, he's like. He is a character, kind of like he's himself, but even when he walks in, like he would come in and he would just go straight to the green room, but he looked like he had put his hoodie up and he kind of looked like he was doing one of his characters.
Yeah.
And then later after the show, he'd be like his normal quiet self, and
it's so weird.
But it was cool. It was cool. Yeah. That was a cool weekend. And another weekend that was really great. This was when I wasn't very good yet. I was just new MC. But I got lucky because there wasn't a lot of women back then when I started MCing. And so, Anthony Jeselnik, I got to MC for him.
Oh, wow.
At Spokane. I was very new, and he wanted a woman, and they were like, "Would you feel okay with him?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Yeah. So I drove to Spokane, and I MC for him, and I was so starstruck because I loved him.
Yeah.
And he was trying to calm me down and make me feel comfortable. It was hilarious because the green room there is tiny. Well, the old green room was really small. It was like as big as this couch. And he's like, "It's your green room too. Come on in." And basically when you're in there, you just have to sit next to each other. And I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm just such a big fan." And he was really sweet. And just a killer on this. I mean,
for sure.
He was working out an hour, and it was so funny. It was just great. He took me out to lunch, him and his feature. It was just like all these famous people. It's so cool. They were so LA, you know what I mean? Like they were just talking like they knew stuff was coming out, and it was just like it was really neat.
Yeah. I know Charles Hall just worked with him not too long ago, and he said he was just the nicest.
He's very gracious, and in fact, he's like, did the club, he thought I lived in Spokane. I was like, "No, I live in Seattle." He's like, "Oh, well, did they pay for you?" And I'm like, "Oh, of course, yeah." He's like, "Otherwise I would," he was going to give me, money. He's really nice guy.
Yeah.
Just
certain headliners are so fucking good about that.
And everybody thinks they're like who they are on stage, but nothing.
No. His is definitely kind of a character
too.
too.
Totally. But it was funny. So those two were great. I mean, I've worked with so many, but those are just my most memorable weekends, right? But
I had a couple listener questions, like Casey Judson, who's a local comic. He wanted to know what Jim Norton was like in person.
Jim was I got to open, like it was no MC. It was just me for 20 or 30 minutes and then him at the Parlor.
Okay.
Many years ago. Yeah, he was fine. For the beginning of the weekend, he was very like he was uptight, kind of not with me, just in general.
Just
you could
neurotic.
Tell he was
a little
just
bit.
like, just kind of for a while. So I just sort of kept my distance. Hello, I'm your opener. Okay, hi, and just and then as the weekend went on, he kind of loosened up. And then the last night, in between shows, it was really fun. We were waiting for the late show, and he was watching. He's big into MMA. I guess he commentates, or is that the word? Commentates?
I think
Commentator?
So. Yeah, commentator.
Yeah, or some kind of fight, one of those fighting things. I don't like any of the fighting. But he was watching it, and I was just like a little kid. I was like, are they allowed to hit each other in the head? And can they do this? And can they? And he was just like a dad explaining MMA to me, and it was so fun for like a half hour. It was just really, awesome. It was really sweet. It was like a nice, sweet memory.
He always requests women to open for him too. I think.
I guess so. I just know that I got lucky because I had to send a tape and he picked me, or somebody picked me. Yeah. So that made me feel really good.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about saying that he likes having somebody that's different than
completely
him going
different.
out.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
It was a nice weekend. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was tense. And then I just, was like, all right. And then at the end of the weekend, it was like we were best friends.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
Didn't you say that Attel, like when you worked with him, he remembered you?
He did. Dave Attel is the greatest. Like a few years ago, they mentioned that he might be offering guest spots at Tacoma. And I was like, oh my God, I want one. And somebody mentioned me. I can't remember if it was the club owner at the time, not the club owner, like the manager or whatever. And so they were like, yeah, you can get a guest spot. But I was emceeing for Fortune Feimster at the Parlor. And a normal show is 90 minutes, right? And so that was the early show at the Parlor. And then I was going to go to the late show and do a guest spot. She did 90 minutes on her own. I'm not joking. The crowd was like, it's a Sunday night. The next day was a holiday. So she's like, should I keep talking? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, fuck. And I'm sitting there because I'm the MC. I can't leave. Yeah. So she went so long. And then, good night, everybody. And then I swear I drove about 95 miles an hour from Bellevue to TCC. And I burst in the green room and he was sitting right there. He's like, don't worry, you're going up. We got you, kid. And I was like, oh, thank God. But then he was here earlier this year or last year. And I was still wearing a mask. And so he walked by me and, I just said hi. And he just was like, whatever, And then after the show was over, because I was trying to get a guest spot, honestly, and I love watching him. That's not
for sure.
But after the show was over, I went outside and I took off my mask and I was like, oh, it was great seeing you. Good night. He's like, oh, hey, I knew you were here. I'm like, yeah, I was here the whole time. He's like, I would have given you a guest spot. I'm like, oh. He's like, come back tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. But I had like an early gig, so then I had to like leave the early gig and fly there again.
Yeah.
So I was like, ah.
Every time you work with Attel, you just rush in to see him.
Yeah, but he's sweet and he's really nice to give out guest spots and stuff.
Yeah, but weren't you in New York and he saw you?
Oh well, he told me to come say hi to him, and I did, but that's it. Though it was really funny. Like I just finished watching a show at the Cellar, and I was just standing outside the Cellar, and I was like, oh hi. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good. He's like, all right, see ya. And that was.
I thought he came up to you and was like, Tacoma or something like.
No, he recognized me
for sure.
Somebody else might have. Maybe it was his opener. But
Louis?
Maybe he did say that.
Yeah, Louis Katz.
Yeah, I love him.
He
so gave me
funny.
a guest spot too once.
That's awesome.
At like the Underground.
Yeah, he's coming here soon.
Where?
He's coming to Tacoma, I think, next month.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. I'm gonna go watch him.
He's super funny.
I love him so much.
Ooh,
I have to take my antibiotic.
Oh. We won't forget.
Yeah. We don't ask what it's for. No, I'm kidding. Just a sore throat.
This is more specific about your stand-up, but we had B Flat on recently, and she is a cougar.
B Flat. I don't know who that is.
She's a comic.
Okay.
Like, I'll show you. Yeah. She's a cougar. You have some stuff in your stand-up about that. When did this start?
I have a lot of cougar material. When did what start?
Like the cougar lifestyle.
I think, honestly, I've always, when I look back, unless when I was in my early 20s, I always dated men that were about 10 years younger. It just sort of naturally happen that way. Like
Okay.
when I was 35, the guy I was seeing was 25. When I was like my last boyfriend of many years ago, he was 10 years younger. I don't know. I'm kind of immature for my age. You know, I call myself a middle-aged teenager.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm in the same boat. So yeah.
So, and I just like to hang out with people that are younger than me. They just seem more fun and youthful, and I almost feel teenagery, you know. And I did try to. I've gone out on dates with men that are like older than me, and it feels like they're my dad almost because like they just act different. Like they're not into texting. I remember one guy I was on a date with, and then I wrote something on my hand, and he was like so upset that I wrote on my hand, you know, like a dad. It was hard to explain, and then they're all not dull at all. There's some cool ones, you know, that they're married. I'd totally go out with a man my age, right? But it just sort of naturally seemed that way. And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's not for dating. For dating, I would like to date someone 10 years younger. I still would like that. But you know, for fun, you know, I don't. Yeah, I range.
Yeah.
But,
Is that
cool.
mainly on like apps and stuff?
Yeah, just for. But I mean, I put like a wide spread it wide.
How wide's the spread?
It depends on my mood. Right now I'm not on any apps because I just got sick of them. But I probably go. I don't want to say the ages. People are gonna think I'm
Plus or
creepy.
minus?
Minus quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
56. I'll go at 30-ish. You know, 30.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, my last fellow was 33, I think.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
B Flat and I were talking about like the inner, because there's that show MILF Manor. I don't know if you've seen that. You haven't heard that? I just
But I'm not
watched
a
it for the
MILF, I'm
first
not a
time.
mom, so.
It's a crazy show. You haven't heard about it? Josh has a bit about it. It's yeah.
Oh, okay, no. Mm-mm.
It's like these moms go to meet younger men, and then when they get there, they find out that the younger men are actually their sons.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
what?
so they're like
so they
dating.
meet online,
No, it's like a dating TV show,
right?
but when they get there, like the caveat is one of the 10
Ew,
other
that's
people.
creepy. Why did they do that?
And then they all start
what?
hooking up,
Ew!
and they have to see
that's-
like somebody with their son.
That's a little weird.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't wait for DILF Manor, like that,
Dad,
because that's even creepier to me. There's weird double standards with like the dating thing, because there's a lot of times where it's like the older woman thing is not acceptable, like it's viewed as differently than the other way around.
Yeah, sometimes I guess, but and again, I'm open. Like for me, it's more chemistry. Like I mean, if I could meet someone 10 years older than me and be like, oh, this is my person. But yeah, I like men that are a little younger. You know,
Yeah.
I'm attracted to them. And
Have you gotten any flag for it?
No, people like tease me a lot here and there, but no, no, not really. I don't. I mean, I'm not just that though. That's what I find funny. Cause like sometimes after a gig, someone will come up. This one guy literally just came up to me and he's like, it's not my whole life, right? He just came up and he's like, I'm a younger man. And I'm like, okay.
Yes, you
and
are.
I think he just expected that I was going to be like, well, let's go fuck, you know? And I was like, nice to meet you. And, you know, I'm not attracted to everybody and all younger men. You know, there's got to be,
There's got to be something.
Totally. I'm not just
a
out
lot
there
of
to
your
just,
stuff
like,
is
you know.
is like, I think we are similar, that we talk about similar things on stage. Sex is a topic that both of us cover. And I think it draws certain people like after a show to come up to you and be like, well,
I know.
if you're talking about this, you're down like.
It doesn't happen to me often, but once in a while, like, you know, or like one guy I have this joke where, you know, like my chanting joke where I'm like, you can't knock us up, you can come inside, I can pay your rent, like that sort of.
Yeah.
This one guy after a show, he was just like, I can come inside. And I was like, that's a joke, you know? And he's like, okay, I thought, you know, I was like, and it was just like, talk to me for like a half hour, try to like flirt a little and then be like something like that. Maybe later that would be funny. But I'm like, the first thing you fucking say to me is like, oh, I could come inside.
But you guys didn't hook up?
No, I wasn't attracted to him anyway. But no, I didn't. I mean, and I maybe have got a little flack because I know someone was like, well, you're saying that stuff on stage, so they're thinking that. I'm like,
For
yeah,
sure.
but I'm also performing. And I'm not just like,
Well,
you
people
know,
come
out
up to you
there.
and say just wild shit after
Yeah.
shows, like because they feel like they know you and you have no context of who they are.
Exactly.
So it's
Right,
just
right.
the wildest things. Like I don't know how many. I mean, you can spot them from a mile away, where it's like the guy pitching the police fuck my wife guy. He comes up to me and say, "Hey man, you know my wife's over there," and you're like,
Oh my god,
"Cool."
I know
like,
it is a little awkward. Yeah.
And then the other thing, like from doing the road more, is like these older women, like they get hammered and then they come up and they full on, like I had a woman like basically kiss me the other night, and I'm like sitting there.
I don't know why they think that's cool. It's not cool. Yeah,
that's a double standard for sure.
I don't think it's cool at all. A good friend of mine, he's like up and coming, and he's gorgeous, you know. And I saw a woman one night, literally, you know, he was doing the meet and greet. She grabbed his ass. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like ready to go, like, and he's like, just whatever, just it's easier to not say anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
I don't think it's ever bothered me.
Oh.
But like
I just don't think it's cool to touch anyone without being like, hey man, can I? But you know what? I get people after show, mostly women, I don't mind. They will run up to me and just hug me. Yeah. And I actually like that, right? Yeah. If people want to hug me, it's fine. But I mean, I just think it's
with dudes, like I played sports and like we just smack the shit out of each other and whatever. So when somebody like does something like that, I'm just like, oh, this has been happening in my whole life. But it's you know, a complete stranger. If I went up and did that to that person, it'd be like I'd be leaving in handcuffs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is bizarre. It is bizarre. I do a threesome joke, and there's this one couple at TCC that loves me, and I'm just not. That's truly a joke. I mean, I'd be into one someday, but it's got to be. I've got to like make it all. I've got to be in charge and pick and interview and you know what I mean? Because I don't want to just be like it's vulnerable. Like you got two people and you it's just like whoa.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, this couple they love me so much, and I'm like. They're so sweet too. They're like, we really love you. My girlfriend especially, she loves you so much. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. And they take pictures, and they left me like a little love note once, and I was like, oh. Yeah,
the whole looking for a unicorn thing is an aggressive approach.
It's interesting, but it's also flattering in a way because it's like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, there was this really one actually younger, very hot couple one night after TCC talking to me, and I'm like, do they want to? Because I would with them.
Yeah.
You know? And the other couple I just wasn't attracted to them. But it is a mind fuck because you're like, are they interested or not?
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm working on a new bit right now because I still just love men so much. And I'm very flirty, and I can't tell when people are being nice to me. I'm like, are they interested? And I'm 56. I look in the mirror. I'm like, they're not. I mean, not to be negative, but I'm like, come on, this is like a young, hot, 30-year-old dude. Yeah. He's just being nice. But there's still this fucked up part of my brain that's like, but is he?
You don't know.
Is he interested?
Yeah, you don't know.
So I can't ever tell.
No,
you know what I mean?
I have no radar for that myself at all.
Right.
It's like, but until I'm in a relationship with somebody, I'm still like, do you like me?
I'm still like that, and I'm old, and my looks are gone, and I'm just like, Mary Lou, it's not going to happen.
I mean... It's still happening though. So.
Yeah, I mean, I do all right, you know.
Back to antibiotic. You're good.
I do fine, you know, like for the fun stuff I do. But I mean, I talk about this all the time, but I really would like a boyfriend. I'd like a regular dude to just fucking date and not worry about, because every time I hook up with like a new guy, I'm like, did I catch anything? You know, I'm like a germaphobe too, right? So I'm just like, STD clinic, like you're back
it's
again.
Emotionally taxing for
it
sure.
It is, yeah. I'm always worried. I'm like, what's that rash? I'm like, oh, it's probably just because it's summer in your house. You know what I mean? Like everything freaks me out.
You're not getting anything from this couch.
No, but is this gone? Remember I had a rash at the beginning?
It looks fine.
Still there?
Yeah.
I walked in Adam's living room and I got a rash.
Just immediately pops off. Before we're getting close to time, but I was wondering, can you tell the story you have from Lovers?
Oh, you mean the joke?
Yeah.
So stupid.
I can't remember it beat for beat, but I think.
Well, that joke has evolved over the years. It's so funny because that used to be my opening joke. Mm-hmm. My opening joke used to be, I went to an adult toy store the other day. I hadn't gone in a while. You know, they say you shouldn't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Yeah. And it used to murder. Yeah. But now it doesn't anymore. But now I have like the long, you want me to actually tell a joke? It's
sure.
Weird. It's like, oh, all right. I went to Lovers the other day. I hadn't been since before the pandemic because I'm a germphobe. So I didn't go. I didn't want to go out. Now I'm out again. And And first of all, it's a dumb name. They should probably just call it Fuckers. Nobody's in love that goes in that store, right? Like, I'd like to see someone propose in that store, like a dude, just get down on one knee and improvise, like grab a cock ring, like, hey, Stephanie, does it fit? Whatever. But, so yeah, I walked in and hadn't been there in years, and it was like, how they say you shouldn't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. I'm gonna have to get a Lyft and an Uber home, right? and then the staff was really nice. I was like, you see anything you like, let me know. And so I looked around, and I'm like, oh, that red one on the back wall, that looks pretty cool. Can I see that? And he's like, ma'am, that's the fire extinguisher. And if I did the earlier joke, I tag it with, I could use that for the bushfires, because I have a joke about my thighs being chubby.
Yeah, yeah.
And like when I go hiking, I start a bushfire.
But didn't you go without your glasses on or whatever like that?
Oh yeah, sometimes I say that. I change it up a lot. Sometimes I'm like, I can't see without my glasses. I have a lot of endings. Sometimes I'm like, wrap it up, or does it come in other colors? Or sometimes I'm like, well, what about that silver one on the counter there? Man, that's my water bottle. What's about that tall black one? Man, that's a customer. Get out of our store. So I got like a million endings.
Yeah. I love that joke. It's a great joke.
That joke is it's based on truth. It's very like elaborate. Many years ago, I used to date this guy. I was in love with this beautiful man. He was from Zanzibar. Like, we fell in love. We had great sex. It didn't work out. And then I missed him. So I'm not joking. I went to a sex store and I tried to get like a dildo that sort of was like his,
the arm or whatever. The thing.
It's not quite an arm, but it was a nice one.
Yeah.
And then when I brought it home, I forgot I used to say my eyes were bigger than my vagina. And that used to kill. And then I saw Margaret Cho say that once on stage, like about 3 years after I said it. And I was like, fuck,
Yeah, she got there.
I can't keep saying it, because people are going to think I stole it from her. But yeah, I brought the thing home and it was too big for me. And I was like, my eyes are bigger than my vagina, So it's kind of the jokes just keeps evolving.
For sure.
I drop that line. Sometimes I'll say that line once in a while just for
fun. Yeah.
And she did say my pussy was bigger than my vagina, but yeah, I didn't want to look like someone like copying a famous person.
For sure.
But yeah. Do you remember is that the part are you like the eyesight part?
No.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I can't see without my glasses, and yeah.
Last question for you before we get out of here. You've been in Seattle comedy for what, 9 years?
9 years, yeah.
And just like, do you have any advice for newer women in comedy?
Newer women in comedy? It's hard because I think you should definitely do all the mics. And I know some people just feel comfortable at certain ones. So I feel like that's cool to start out at the ones maybe that are female focused, because that's what worked for me, right? But eventually branch out, because I feel like you don't want to get just hooked into like a type of crowd or audience, that's, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And then like when you try it, you go to other rooms, like it maybe not, or you get gigs in other type places, it might not work. But I don't know if that's advice for females versus just anybody.
Comics
really.
in general, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to like, for me, I just, like I said, like I was like alone for 6 months. Nobody talked to me except Scott, and he wasn't there all the time. But if you can like find people that like are friendly and that are willing to like talk to you, or maybe get a buddy, that's kind of nice too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Crewing up and having a group of people that like are going out and doing it nightly helps a lot.
Right.
And there's a lot of that going on right now, which is cool to see.
I'm a loner. I've always been a loner, so I never quite did a lot of that. But then once people started to talk to me, then I made friends, you know, sure. And then used to
start producing, more, doing shows.
But I really think it's good to do a variety of mics. I know some are just like, and I don't want people to feel unsafe, right? So if you go into a room, you don't feel safe, don't do it.
For sure.
You know? But it is good to spread your wings after you get a little comfortable on stage.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Especially like longer sets, like getting out of the city and going to different parts of the state and different, like travel to different cities and shit. Because it makes your stand up better for sure. Like you start seeing it differently. You see how you are. I think Juno Men came on. She was talking about performing down south for one of Naren's shows. It's like she saw it completely different outside the city. I think it makes you better.
Yeah, it's good to do all areas.
And also knowing when that's not an audience you want to kill for.
Totally.
There's some of that too. So
it's good to do other rooms. I mean, I like to go inside the city and outside. And inside the city, Seattle is a little more sensitive, so I might be a little different. And I can't tell fat jokes in Seattle. Oh, you're beautiful. I get that, and I'm like, just shut up, right? And then in Tacoma, woo,
they're
funny bitch. You know, like it's just
completely different.
Yeah, and you just feel out the places too. But then you get different material. You're like, all right, this is what I'll do in this city. This is what I'll do here. You just get, you just grow. You get better and better. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
No, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there?
I didn't know you went to law school.
Oh yeah.
That's why you're so smart, and that's why you look scary.
Yeah.
He's gonna put me in jail.
Anyway. Is there anything you want to plug?
I just need some YouTube followers. I would love that.
Okay.
I got a bunch of videos on there, and I got my 2 sketches.
I watched one of those.
Which one did you?
I think the chicken one.
Well,
like
they both have chicken. But did you see the one with me eating the chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that sketch. That's based on my. Oh, I don't do this joke anymore. But like, I try to date men my age, but I just want to bang their kids. It's based on that joke.
Yeah.
And then my second chicken joke, not chicken, but there's chicken in it, is the VCR joke where I'm like, young men want to date me because I want to teach. So I teach them how to use the VCR. So, but yeah, YouTube. I'm just Mary Lou Gamba comedy on YouTube.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks. This has been fun.
Make sure to check out Mary Lou on YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube too, make sure to rate and review this episode. If you're just listening, do the same. Hit that notifications bell on YouTube, subscribe to us, and then we are on Patreon, patreon.com/FNFpod. As always, follow us on Instagram at FNFpod, and we are going to leave you with Jaga.
I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. My wave pool, my wave pool. Welcome to 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 my wave pool, my wave pool.